you, everybody. How are we doing? How are we doing? Thank you for coming, trickling in here. Quick shout out to Tracy and the Untraceable team. One more time for those guys. The best in the business. One more time. You know, I've been coming here since literally the first one, and it's the best event in the world, and I have some credibility there because I go to every single frickin' one. And this is my favorite one of the year. I'm obviously biased because I'm from Toronto. But that's how I wanted to start my presentation, is just seeing the city that I grew up in becoming relevant again in Web3. Because we came out strong with Ethereum and even before Ethereum in the early Bitcoin community. And then we kind of after that launched, we kind of became a little less competitive in the global scene. And that's changing. As of recently, we have some of the top projects and VCs in the world coming out, not just launching out of Toronto, but staying in Toronto. Projects like Barachain and BitTensor, a lot of these founders are from Toronto and have deep connections here. So anyways, I'm Trevor. I am from Toronto, just down the street. And show of hands, does anyone know or remember Polymath? Polymath? We actually launched here many years ago. It was an early kind of tokenization platform. And that was kind of my big entry into Web3, was being kind of the founder CEO of an early Web3 project before there were any rules or anything like this. And we've evolved that project to somewhere I'm really proud of, which is becoming a layer one. Someone I actually met here at this conference is a guy named Charles Hoskinson, who's one of the co-founders of Ethereum and Cardano. And he actually helped us design, because of that connection from the Futurists, he helped us design our layer one protocol, which is now live and running. It's called Polymesh, so we kind of did a little edit on the name. And it's one of the best performing L1s this year in a lot of different metrics. And some of the Polymesh guys now that are running the foundation are actually here, so look for those guys. But now, I label data for a living. That is my new profession. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What is data labeling? Data labeling is, think of AI, there's two things, right? There's the compute and then there's the data. And both of those things together make AI. I'm grossly oversimplifying, but it's a good mental model. And compute are the things you already know a lot, like the chips, the data centers, NVIDIA, things like this. The data is a little harder to pin down. And there's companies like Scale AI. You might not have heard of them, out of San Francisco. They're like the big human data labeling company in the world. But basically what it means is AI data is like a supply chain. So it starts out as raw data. Think of it like crude oil in the ground. And it's not really useful. It has a value, but it's not really useful to anyone. So you have to refine that oil, that crude oil, or in this case, you have to refine that data. So before you can have all these fancy training models, you need to refine the data, kind of like crude oil to gasoline. So that's what data labeling is. It's refining and structuring the data. So that's just kind of a little intro to AI data. And as it turns out, humans are actually critical for this process. They are integral. In fact, the reason companies like OpenAI won the early AI wars is because they were the first ones to put a lot of humans in their data sets. In fact, industrial scale RLHF was the big unlock that made ChatGPT-1 work. Because they weren't the first model, the first LLM, they were the third. Facebook and Google had internal LLMs before them, but because they didn't invent this technique of a lot of humans in the data, structuring and fine-tuning the data, they just didn't work. So humans help make the data more high quality, they make it more efficient, and they make it more safe from an ethical standpoint as well. A lot of people say, the new oil, it's compute, but it's also data. In fact, data is kind of the number one bottleneck that these companies are sourcing from. And if you look at some of these quotes from well-known folks in the AI space saying, he who labels the data controls the narrative. We firmly believe that. Or folks used to say the closest person to the compiler is in charge, and now it's closest person to the data. So high quality training data is the new oil. And it's also, it's not like a future thing. This is today the fastest growing segment of AI. All of AI is data and data labeling. And this is by revenue, by the way. As I said before, the big guys, the secret's out of the bag. When OpenAI started dominating the benchmarks of performance compared to all the other big guys, they started like reverse engineering what OpenAI was doing, and it turns out they were just spending a lot of money to hire humans to label data. And they spend about $1 billion per year each. These are the big LLMs. I'm not even talking about the mid-market yet, like enterprise LLMs. That's not even included in that data. Just the big LLMs, Google, Mistral, Claude, OpenAI, they all spend about $1 billion per year each per model. So like ChatGPT 5 will have $1 billion human data labeling budget. So real quick, I won't go too deep into it, but this is kind of what data labeling looks like. It's bounding boxes. It's like humans saying, this is a stop sign, this is a baby, this is a stroller. That's called bounding box classification. You have things like text-based, so you're helping language models be more accurate. So you label data as a human to like teach the machine how to produce better data outputs. So you can see some examples up there. So, have you ever wondered how data is labeled? I just told you there's millions of data labelers. They're all over the world. So what does that look like? And it's quite shocking, actually. What I'm going to show you will shock you because this is how data is labeled. It's literally, you don't really hear about it because a lot of these big tech companies aren't proud of it, but it's these gigantic facilities in Southeast Asia that have these huge warehouses full of people doing QA and data entry tasks like all day, every day. And it's kind of known as like modern day call centers to put it lightly. And it's kind of like this weird centralized system where you have cheap labor. These guys make $1 or $2 an hour. And it's just very centralized. Like you have all these human middlemen, managers overseeing it. And these are the heroes of modern AI. It's these people that make AI work and make it actually useful. But a lot of the value seems to accrue to the companies, like these huge Silicon Valley tech companies that build the outputs of these models, not the actual labelers doing the work themselves. And that's where Sapien comes in. This is our new project since Polymath. This is the first major one we've done as a group. And what we're doing is decentralizing Scale AI. If you don't know Scale AI, it's like that big company that uses a lot of the warehouses. And what we're trying to do is just two things. One, make it easier for enterprise, in other words, anyone who needs data labeling, to get labeled data. So that's the demand side. So high quality labeling on demand. And then on the labeler side, this is the supply side, we're trying to make it easy to earn money anywhere, anytime from your phone. So you don't need to drive to a physical office in Manila. You can just do it from your phone and earn money. And this could be like a new form of gig work. Before I forget, you guys can actually check out what this looks like. You go to game.sapien.io on your phone. So just pull up a browser, pull up game.sapien.io, and you can check it out as well. And you can actually start earning at your leisure. You can do it full time as a gig work job, like an Uber driver would, or you can do it for 5 minutes at a bus stop instead of playing Candy Crush. So I'll show a super quick demo. We might not have time for the whole video, but I just want to show you kind of what it looks like. This is the demand side. So this is like if you're an enterprise customer that needs labeled data, which is kind of everyone nowadays. Everyone's building their own models. We've tried to make it super easy to just upload your raw data set, get an automated quote in just a few seconds. So you don't have to like call anyone. There's no like human interactions. And then you pay and then you're done. But the fun part is on the labeling side. So this is what it would look like. This is a 3D model data set. So there's a big demand right now for humans to label 3D vision, computer vision models. And this is what it looks like. You can do it from your phone. It's fun. We try to gamify it. Some of our early investors are Web3 gaming companies like Animoca and YGG. And we wanted them because we're trying to make it fun and engaging and retain as many of our gamers as we can by playing the game. Another quick one, we have different skins as well. So I'm a big StarCraft fan from early in the days. So we have an awesome new skin now. This is a real customer data set, by the way. This is a fashion customer that's trying to label a fashion data set to help predict fashion trends. So a real customer. But to make the model work, you need humans to label the data set. So just to give you an idea of kind of how we're thinking about this, rather than really kind of boring, monotonous data entry, Excel spreadsheet type data labeling, we're trying to make it like fun and engaging. So we're about 6 months old in terms of when we launched the product. We're at about 200K in monthly revenue, and we have labelers now. I'm more excited about this from 71 countries. We actually won a big contract from one of our big competitors because of how diverse our labeler set is. Because we're not restricted to one physical location, anyone can be a labeler, and it turns out the more diverse your labelers are, the more high quality your data output is. Because if you just have 28,000 men from the Philippines that are the same demographic, you don't get the same quality data output because it's too homogeneous. Real quick, I know I'm running out of time, but right now you can go to game.sapien.io, but stay tuned, we're going to be launching cross-platform on every platform, so on Chrome extensions, on Telegram. We're excited about the Telegram integration as well. We're trying to make this kind of like a play-to-earn type vibe, kind of like Axie Infinity, where you can just like log in and earn while you're actually creating a useful product, not just playing an endless loop video game. Super quick on the Web3, you know, one thing we learned is that there's amazing synergies here with Web3 because we can use smart contracts and potential points programs to help engage, retain, and make quality. That's what I was trying to say. You can keep quality high by using staking mechanisms and slashing mechanisms. So I'd love to talk more after this if anyone has questions on how we're thinking about Web3. Super quickly, we're trying to think the AI stack in the decentralized world, decentralized AI, is kind of a few steps. So there's data collection. That's a company like Grass. They're based out of Toronto, or the founders from Toronto as well. So they're collecting the data. Then it would go to Sapien, who's structuring the data. And then we would send it off to another Canadian company, BitTensor, to train the data. And then they would send it off to Ritual to run inference on the data. And what we're trying to do is build like a decentralized Silicon Valley AI. So it's not just us that are decentralized, but we're connecting and interoperating with all the other decentralized AI players. So we have real native use cases for interoperability in terms of using Web3 natively. There's a quick list of some of our investors. Variant led our last round, and we're working with companies like Baidu, Alibaba, and Midjourney now on the enterprise side. And that's it. So go to game.sapien.io. Please look for some of the guys in the blue shirts. I'm really proud to announce our new hire, Rowan Stone, joined the team. He's a co-founder of Base. So Coinbase's Base L2. He was one of the co-founders with Jesse Pollock, so he just joined the team. And look for the guys in blue shirts. We'd love to speak with you after the event. And go to game.sapien.io. Thank you very much, and thanks again to Tracy.